What do Falcons do? Rise up. Welcome to RiseUpReactions, the show where we talk all things Falcons, NFL, Georgia sports, and in general the sports news of the day. I'm your host, Dr. Lee Denning. Week 14 is almost completely in the books. We have the Arizona Cardinals taking on the New England Patriots tonight. I do have the Cardinals winning that game per my predictions. We'll see if that plays out or not. But with my topic today, I'm going to move on as if that is the case. And my topic for today, since the Falcons don't have a recap for me to go through, is kind of more of a how each division is going to finish out picture, and then talk about my projected playoffs and how I see that playing out. Now, very briefly, we don't have a lot of time, so we're going to go through this pretty rapid fire here. This morning I've had a chance to go through everybody's division, see what games they have left. All but two teams have 4 games left. So without further ado, let's jump in on the AFC side, AFC West. We're going to be talking about currently the Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, and Broncos in that order. Chiefs, they are currently 10-3. Looking at their schedule, they have a couple of tough games left on the mix, but I do see them going 14-3. They should take care of business and go 4-0 in the last few games. Then I have the Chargers, 7-6, having a win this past weekend, coming in, winning 3-1 to finish out the season 10-7. That would put them number 2 in the division. The Raiders having a tough loss. The Raiders needed to win this week in order to maintain any sort of playoff hopes. Given that you just don't know which team is going to show up on any given Sunday on week to week, I have them losing more than I have them winning. They're going to go 1-3 in the next 4 games, so they'll finish 6-11. Broncos, you finally showed some life with letting Russ cook this past weekend. I think this is what we all expected your offense to be for the most part this season, and I think it's a good sign for you going forward. Something to build on, and I think you win 2 out of the last 4 games, but you are going to go 2-2 because you still are not showing me enough consistency. So I do have you finishing at 5-12. So that division pretty much stays the exact same 1-4. We'll get to the playoff implications in a minute. Then we move on to the AFC North. It's currently the Ravens 9-4, the Bengals 9-4, the Browns 5-8, and the Steelers 5-8. Have a lot of shakeups going on in this division. With the Ravens, they are not healthy right now, and I actually have the Falcons beating them as we talk about it later on in 2 weeks on Christmas Eve. But the Bengals look very good right now. I do have them losing 1 of their remaining games, and that game would be against the Bills. They do get the Bills at home, but still I think that that's going to be a tougher team. I think the Bills are the best team in the AFC this year, and that will reflect out in the end of this. But the Bengals, I think, end up being 3-1 in their final games, go 12-4. I think the Ravens end up being 2-2 in their final games, and again, that's kind of based little bit on my hopes for the Falcons, but I could easily see them going 3-1 as well in this last stretch because they have the Browns, the Steelers, the Bengals, and the Falcons. They have to go to the Bengals. I don't think they win that game. They play at the Browns. That's a tough one just because of the opponent. That defense is not terrible. The offenses on both of them are not particularly good. That's the next game on the slate for them. But again, I have this finishing out. Bengals number 1 in the division. Ravens number 2 in the division. Browns 4th. Steelers 3. But both the Steelers, they don't have an easy schedule coming up. They're going to go 8-9. Browns, they are going to go 6-11. The Browns will finish at the bottom, but the Steelers, for the first time in the Mike Tomlin era, will finish without a winning record. Then we move on to the AFC East. We have the Bills at 10-3, the Dolphins at 8-5. Really thought they were going to win one of the last 2 weeks, but it didn't work out for them. The Jets 7-6, the Patriots 6-6. I do have the Patriots losing tonight, so that's automatically a loss for them. But we are going to move forward here with these last 4 game predictions for them. We have the Bills. They have a fairly easy schedule overall here to finish, minus the Cincinnati Bengals. They will be playing the Bengals in Cincinnati, so that's going to be a tough game. Could be a 50-50 split, and this could be a game where we're talking about a divisional race here, or maybe even championship race, depending on how the playoffs work out. But, Bills have the Dolphins. They get them at home. That should go their way. I do have them winning that game. They get the Bears in Chicago. They get the Bengals at Cincinnati, and then they play the Patriots one more time at home to close out the season. And again, I do have them going 4-0 in that stretch, though it certainly wouldn't surprise me to see them go 3-1. Then we have the Dolphins. They are 8-5 right now. I have them losing to the Bills, and then I don't have them losing any other games to close out the season. So they play the Packers, the Packers, the Patriots, and the Jets. I think those are all very winnable games for them, and I have them finishing the year out at 11-6, finishing number 2 in the division. Jets 7-6 right now after a hard loss this past weekend. I actually had them, I think, winning, so that one didn't work out for me, but again, they're going to be a better team when they get Breece Hall back next year. I do think Mike White instead of actually, no, I didn't have them. They played the Bills. Mike White took a lot of body shots. He had to be carted off the field and went to the hospital. I hope he's doing fine because he does look like a better quarterback than what they're getting in Zach Wilson there. So we'll see what's going on with him. But I do have the Jets finishing 2-2 on the season, going 9-8 and finishing third in that division. Unfortunately, that's probably not going to be enough to make the playoffs here. The Patriots, I said I already have them losing this week, and I have them going 1-3 the rest of the way out here. They have probably the toughest remaining schedule. Patriots, I think, end up being 7-10. So this division is exactly the same as it started, 1-4. And finally, we go to the AFC South. You have the current Titans at 7-6, not looking like a great football team. They definitely can't throw the ball, and if Henry is not if you can shut down Henry in any way, shape, or form, you're going to win. Jaguars finally starting to look alive here. They've had a lot of close games that could have gone their way earlier in the season, and I think if even one or two of them go their way, they could be the leaders of this division. Put an absolute whooping on the Titans this past week, and it was glorious. They are at 5-8. Colts are at 4-8-1. Pretty much a bad football team at this point. Texans are the worst football team at 1-11-1. So, how do I see this shaking out? I actually only see the Titans winning one more game. I think their stretch here at the end is going to be tough. That's what happens when you end up going 13-4, I think it was last year, or 14-3. You end up playing a lot of tough teams next year. So they have a tough schedule. That I have them going 8-9 to finish the year. The Jaguars also have a tough schedule, but I have more faith in them given what they've shown me recently. The Jaguars I have going 8-9, finishing 3-1 for the last 4 games, which will actually propel them in tiebreakers because they will have beaten the Titans twice in that stretch. Propels them over the Titans. The Colts 4-8-1. I have them only winning one more game, losing 3. Who knows if they'll tie another one in there? But I have them finishing 5-8-1. Texans, you're a bad football team. I don't have you winning any more games. You're 1-15-1. So the only shakeup here is Jaguars end up winning the division and hosting playoff game where they're promptly going to lose, but they host a playoff game and show bright spots for the future. So that's how I see the AFC shaping out. Let's move over to the NFC. NFC West, we have the 49ers currently 9-4. The Seahawks falling off a cliff here, losing to the Carolina Panthers 7-6. Cardinals 4-8. I do have them winning tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and preemptively say they're 5-8, even though I don't know that to be the case. And then the Rams, I have them 4-9 right now. They did have a surprise win with Baker Mayfield this past week, so they're a little bit of a wild card. Though looking at their schedule, I don't know that they win any more games. So just starting at the bottom here, Rams I have going 4-13. I don't have them winning any more games just because of the quality of their opponents, and they should be the underdog in every game. Sean McVay is kind of a wizard with offensive scheming, though, so it wouldn't surprise me if they stole one or two of those in that stretch. Still probably going to finish at the bottom or second to bottom of their division. Since we're going that way with this particular division, we're going to move up, go to the Cardinals. I have them currently at 5-8 because, again, I do have them winning tonight. That could go the other way, which changes just a little bit, but not a whole lot for playoff implications. Cardinals, I have them after today. I think they're only going to win one more game after this week. They will finish 1-3 on the rest of the season, and they'll go 6-11. Seahawks, tough loss. I had a lot more faith in you going into this week. If you beat Carolina, I think you had a chance at making an outside push for that wild card spot. But right now, I have the Seahawks at 8-9. I think their schedule is just way too tough to close out the year here. They have the Jets, they have the 49ers, they have the Chiefs, and they have the Rams. Now, could they steal 2 of those games? Certainly, but right now I just have them winning one of those 4. So the Seahawks will finish 8-9, missing the playoffs. You're only going to get one team out of this division going to the playoffs. It's the 49ers. With Brock Purdy under center, they're going to have a decision to make when it gets to the playoffs if Jimmy G comes back. But 49ers, they're 9-4. I have them winning out because they have a fairly easy schedule to close out the year. So I think they'll be the favorite in every single game, even losing Deebo Samuel this past week. So give me the 49ers at 13-4 to win that division. Then we move on to the NFC North. We have the Vikings, who I still think are somewhat of a counterfeit team, but they are probably going to finish out 3-1. But they're currently 10-3. The Lions, coming out with a clutch win over them. Should have beat them earlier in the season, but now Lions are 6-7, and the Lions are another team much like the Jaguars. You could make a case for them if a couple of things go their way earlier in the season. You could certainly see them being 8-5 right now, or even 9-4 if a few things go their way, because they were in some tight, highly contested games earlier this year that just didn't roll their way. Lions are on the resurgence here, so the Lions have figured it out on offense, and they're doing better on defense. Then you have the Packers 5-8. They look bad overall, but there's some bright spots there with Christian Watson. I think they will be mathematically eliminated sometime in the near future, so we probably are going to see Jordan Love playing soon. And the Bears, your future's bright, but right now I just don't think your defense is that good, and your defense is the liability that's going to cost you games. They're currently 3-10. Vikings, I have going 3-1 to finish the season, winning their division, going 13-4. The Lions, I have going currently they're 6-7. I have them winning their last 4 games outright and going 10-7, which will be enough to make the playoffs here in a minute. The Packers, I have winning going 2-2, being 7-10, and the Bears, I have going 0-4 just because of that defense. I think they're going to be close games, but I just don't have them winning any more games this season. So Bears finished 3-14. So you end up basically the same way you started. The last 2 divisions, there really haven't been any change whatsoever in them, and you're going to see the same thing here with the NFC East as well. With the NFC East, you have the Eagles rolling along 12-1 after a dominant win over the Giants. You have the Cowboys 10-3, having a close, almost loss to the Texans. Neither team willing to kick field goals when it mattered most, but hey, not my call. I would have been taking some points when they were down. Neither team could score on the goal line a couple of times there and ended up turning the ball over on downs. Then you have the Commies 7-5-1. You have the Giants 7-5-1 as well. Here's how I see this shaking out. Eagles, I think they are going to lose to the Cowboys in Dallas. I think they'll split the series that way, but I have them winning every other game. And they should still be a favorite in Dallas, but it'll be a much tighter game. I do, just because it's at home, I'll give the Cowboys a slight edge there. So Eagles, I have going 15-2 to finish out the season. It wouldn't surprise me if they go 4-0, but I'm just going to go ahead and leave it there. Cowboys, I do have you winning out the rest of your games, but unfortunately the Eagles are just so far ahead of you. You would need them to go 2-2, and I just don't see that happening with you going 4-0. So Cowboys, I do have you finishing out 14-3. Wouldn't surprise me if you lose one here. Again, I have you beating the Eagles. Wouldn't surprise me if that goes the other way, but I do have the Cowboys at 14-3. Commies 7-5-1. Currently, I have them going 2-2 to finish the year, being 9-7-1, which may be enough to make the playoffs. And then I have the Giants. Good year, but you're going to need to make some improvements, particularly at the wide receiver position and on defense next year. I have you going, let's see here, 2-2 as well, or sorry, 1-3 as well to finish out the season, going 8-1 with a technically winning record, but again, it's going to basically be 500. So that's how I see the NFC East shaking out. I actually do see 3 playoff teams from this division. Then you move on to the NFC South. This is the one that I think is the biggest shakeup. This is going to be the most interesting division for the remainder of the year. The Panthers are not as bad as people predicted. The Buccaneers are not as good as people thought they would be. The Falcons, I think, are going to go on the rise, and the Saints are going to be bad. Back to it here. The Buccaneers, I have going 2-2 on the remainder of the season. And this is all going to be predicated on my Falcons prediction, because this is a Falcons channel. I'm a Falcons homer, and you can call me that all day long, but I think it's not unreasonable to think the Falcons finish out 4-0 on the season, though it is certainly a long shot. But the Buccaneers, I have going 2-2, losing to the Falcons, and I think I had them losing one other game in there. I can't remember who they're playing, but they'll go 8-9. Panthers, I have going 2-2 as well, which would be, cause them to finish at 7-10. The Falcons, I have us beating the Cardinals. I have us beating the Buccaneers. I have us beating the Saints, and I have us beating the Ravens. I know it's a long shot. That's my hot take of the day. But the Falcons go 4-0 on the last few games with Desmond Ridder starting at quarterback and show what we've got for the future. It's into first place solely in the division, and the Saints I have also going 2-2, finishing out at 6-11, finishing at the bottom. So again, wrapping this up, Falcons would be 9-8, the Buccaneers 8-9, Panthers 7-10, and the Saints 6-11 to finish out the year. Obviously the worst division in football, but hey, what are you going to do? Somebody's got to go to the playoffs, somebody's going to host a home game, and it might as well be the Falcons at this point, starting Desmond Ridder and hoping that he's the future. If Desmond Ridder comes out and just looks absolutely amazing, I think a lot of Falcons fans are going to be upset with the coaching staff for not making the change after our loss to Carolina on Thursday Night Football in embarrassing fashion, because I think we certainly could have won more of these games if Ridder was the quarterback, if he's as good as we think he's going to be. But, guys, I'm going to hold off on my playoff predictions for now. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Am I crazy on this? I know a lot of you are going to think I'm crazy for picking the Falcons here. But, what do you think of my division winners at this point in time? What do you think of how things finish out here? I'm not going to be talking too much about tiebreakers, but we'll get to that at a later date. But until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Consider liking and subscribing. And as always, rise up.